Welcome to Crustacean Plantation. Angela Sayre and her family moved to Tavernier, Florida, in the Florida Keys, in 2019, only to find that they were not the only family in residence. Not long after moving in, their dogs, George and Martha, started alerting them to the presence of hermit crabs. It was not just one or two hermit crabs, but a plethora of wild hermit crabs. It appears that their home is perfectly situated by an ocean point 400 feet away and protected by county-owned land around their home. Hermit crabs use their backyard as a shortcut in their search for shells and fresh water. It's essentially a Hermie highway. Angela and family watch over the wild hermies when they stop by for a drink of fresh water or a snack under the bird feeder. There are also transfer stations set up around the yard to allow for shell shopping opportunities for those looking to upgrade. The Florida Keys is a marine sanctuary, and while hermit crabs are not endangered yet, living in a tourist area, people love to take home shells as souvenirs of their vacation. Crustacean Plantation hopes to share their story with others in an effort to promote Take the Memory, Leave the Shell, to help preserve wild hermit crabs' way of life. Crustacean Plantation loves to keep it up close and personal with Cenobita clypeatus. Please welcome Angela Sayre.
Crustacean Plantation, up close and personal with Cenobita clypeatus. On today's adventure, we're going to explore shells natural to the Florida Keys. Disclaimer: I am not a scientist, and anything I share with you today is reflective of basic research found online. I do apologize in advance if I butcher any pronunciations along the way. Okay, on to our show. How do you change the mindset of a population of the masses? Everybody wants to go walk on the beach. Everybody wants to walk along the shoreline. Everybody wants to go find shells. And technically, the ocean and the beach are scattered with shells. You can go through and you can find them all over the place. Shells found along the ocean shoreline here in Stewart. These are more your scallop shells. But at the same time, what if these shells were homes for hermit crabs? Do you pick it up? Do you take it home? Or do you leave it for somebody else to move into? Like I said, how do you change the mindset of thousands? It looks like we're going to have to start doing it one shell at a time. First up on our trip, we went exploring to Cape Sable. That's where I actually started to find some whelk shells in their natural environment. These pretty spiral shells provide a portable home for large marine animals. These snails prefer to live on sandy or muddy bottoms in waters of up to 50 feet. The most common is the lightning whelk, which grows about 16 inches. And you can tell if they're a lightning whelk because the shell of the opening is always on the left. Come on, dude. Oh, look. He's holding on to the... Oh, leave him alone, Martha. No. I'm going to go take this guy away. Look, he definitely is in need of a new shell. Oh, that guy is... Look, now that I moved the other one, he's like, I'm out of here. Run away. All right, I'm going to take this guy to the back. They scavenge in temperate waters for crustacean, worms, and mollusks like mussels and clams. They sometimes even eat other whelks, except for this guy. Lightning whelks reportedly play a significant role in Native American cultures because their left side opening means that their shells spiral clockwise rather than counterclockwise. This is thought to signify light to darkness and birth to death in Native beliefs, and the shells were used in both daily life and spiritual rituals. Crawling off into the Cave of Wonders.
I was first told that hermit crabs don't like whelk shells because it was said that the spiral was on the left. But as you can tell by these guys, they don't seem to mind and they seem pretty happy, and they hold up fairly well. Next up is Tavernier Key. This is actually right outside of our house. Here's where we found that whelks lay their eggs in long spiral-shaped casings that can reach up to 33 inches in length. The strand contains up to 200 small pouches, and each pouch contains up to 99 eggs. The females protect the string of eggs by anchoring one end at the bottom of the ocean. Interesting fact, most whelks are edible. Next up, tulip shells. These guys can grow up to as big as 10 inches. I believe we have true tulip and banded tulip shells in our areas. We have found them both oceanside as well as bayside. Either way, supposedly tulip shells are aggressive carnivores, preferring mollusks like clams and other snails to eat.
Hey, George, leave it. Leave it. When I say he's harassing him, hey, come on, stop. Stop. This is what I mean by harassing him. So you can see, bad dog. Bad dog, George. Wow, this is a good one. Oh man, I haven't seen one this big and a good sized tulip in a long time. George, leave the hermits alone. Hey, you leave those hermits alone. Wow. He's a big one. I don't know which direction he was going. I noticed a bunch of shells were moved earlier. So I kind of just want to leave him instead of relocate him, but look how big. George. Psst. Bad dog. Hey, little buddy. How are you doing? Claw open. Decent sized shell. I know, I'm not going to mess with you. He was chirping a moment ago.
Most populations are found subtidally in warm, shallow, or coastal and marine environments, such as seagrass beds, sand flats, and coral reefs. They're active in shallow water during high tides and often burrow under the sediments when exposed during low tide. Interesting fact, the true tulip is a predator of the queen conch. Next up, Cerium incanum, or tiny guys.
So here's a little guy taking advantage of a natural tree snail shell. Obviously not going to be able to turn my hand back around again to catch him. But these are local tree snails. So he's just making do with what he has. Pretty little baby.
The name Ceron is based on the Greek word chiron, signifying honeycomb, and is given to these shells because the form resembles that of a beehive. They're at one time known as beehive shells. There was a very large study ranging back over 100 years on these guys and the various species found throughout the Keys. It was originally thought that they had migrated on driftwood to the Keys from the Bahamas or Cuba. However, the study actually determined that the snails found here in the Upper Keys had the oldest genotype, meaning ours came first. Like I said, it was a pretty significant study. Next, the Cuban brown snail, or land snail. They're labeled as exotic and considered a pest. Apparently in the early 1900s, they were brought on purpose from Cuba on a whim by Charles T. Simpson, a soldier, sailor, cowboy, and self-taught naturalist who must have been really, really lonely. I simply introduced these things for company and not for any type of scientific results, he wrote a colleague at the time. This species is now established in the U.S. and is considered to represent a potentially serious threat as a pest and invasive species which could negatively affect agricultural, natural ecosystems, human health, or commerce. It's been suggested that these species be given top national quarantine significance in the U.S. I think this means that our hermit crab should be given top priority as national protectors, walking around in these shells as badges of honor. Nearite shells. All right, let's go on a journey. Hey guys, Crustacean Plantation here. All right, today's adventure is going to be, we're traveling down to Bahia Honda. Brian's getting the boat all loaded up. Schnauzers have been fed, ready to go. Martha's sitting there waiting, saying, you guys aren't leaving without me. Today, we are also traveling down to Molasses Key. We're super excited to check this place out. We saw that they have wild hermit crabs there, so I'd love to see the population, how they're doing, because it is a small, secluded key. We are going to bring a few shells down, check out the population, see how they're doing. I'd be really interested to see what native shells they're currently using, and then also bring them down, like this is a native Florida whelk shell, bring them down some shells for them to enjoy. So we will look forward to our postings later. Bye. Molasses Keys Preserved. These privately owned keys, we were given special permission to be able to explore and check out what kind of hermit crabs they had. We made it out to Molasses Key Nature Wildlife Preserve. There are some other people kind of anchored out over there. We did receive permission from the island owners to come out and check this area out. And sure enough, you have to watch where you walk because there are a ton of little baby. These are marine, mind you, but a bunch of little marine hermit crabs. Yay! The most popular snail shell we found were nereids. These snails are the perfect step-up homes for hermits coming and going. The snails live on the rocks right on the water's edge, and they feed primarily on clams and worms, making it really easy for a hermit crab to stop by and grab a new home. Martha, leave him alone. And we found, look Martha, hermit crab. There he goes. Oh, you're in my picture. Get out of my picture. That little schnauzer is always right there with me. I figured if I look for some rock outcroppings, I should be able to find a land hermit. And of course, Martha's just being Martha. So where are you, buddy? There you are. There he is. I don't know if the shells I brought are gonna be too big for him or what. They might. Martha, you just knocked over my hermit crab. So this guy is a little bit bigger than the last one I found. Hi, buddy. Hi. I wonder if the shells I brought are gonna be too big. I think they are. Because these guys are gonna be restricted to just what they can find here on the key. I left some shells right here along this rock area, and I really hope somebody found them and moved in. I know these little guys would be super happy because they always seem to say thank you when they move into a new shell. All right, moving on to conch shells. Found this guy, but when I picked him up, there was somebody still living down inside there. So we will put the guy right back where we found him. All right, Florida horse conch. Interesting fact. The Florida horse conch is one of the largest gastropods in the world. The shell was used by native and Mesoamerican cultures to make tools and trumpets. This species is the official shell of Florida, adopted in 1969. The shell is native to the marine waters around Florida and can grow to a length of 24 inches. The word conch comes from the Greek word meaning shell. This next batch is a little hodgepodge of star snail shells, astra shells, and sometimes I just like to call them pyramid guys. The astrid shell is native to the Caribbean and the western Atlantic Ocean. They can be found on reefs as well as rock structure and rubble next to coral reefs. In the wild, they're most active at night. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of information about them online other than sales for aquariums. Apparently they love algae and can keep your marine tanks clean. Stop, Martha. I'm trying to film nature. Look, little marine hermit crab. This is the cutest little snail shell.
George is saying, if you left me out in the wild, I don't know that I'd make it a day.
Drop the shell, buddy. I'll put you down. These are all little marine
Hermes. Thousands of them.
I meant to say drop the rock, not the shell. Obviously, it's his home first. Anyway, I love finding my little pyramid guys everywhere. One of the fun things you need to make sure you're watching when you're walking around barefoot in your backyard is not to step on one. Because they are shaped as a little triangle pyramid, believe me, they do hurt when you happen to step on them. But I love them, and well, apparently so do the hermit crabs. Now that we've taken a trip up and down the Florida Keys, explored different places to find shells, let's take into consideration some of the other things, not shells, that hermits move into.
Do you remember last week I showed that picture that was back there in Transfer Station 1? Well, this had a hermit crab living in it. It's kind of like a hard plastic, but it is now pulled from circulation, and there is a happy hermit crab that is moved into a new shell.
I bet you can imagine my surprise when I walked back there to check on my last batch of shell donations, only to find this red, hard plastic cap. Some hermit crab came in with this, went to the pile, and switched out for a new shell. When I see guys like this come in with shells like these, a lot of times I like to reflect back on the Statue of Liberty saying, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore." Over time, even shells that are native to our area have a tendency to break down. Look what a hermit can do to a tulip shell. Whelk shells are just as vulnerable. They have a tendency to break down naturally from the ocean. One of the things I'm super grateful for are donations. In the beginning, I was out there purchasing shells myself for all of these hermit crabs that I noticed needed new homes. But over time, and thanks to social media, Facebook, Instagram, everyone across the country and world started sending me shells that had been sitting around, shells that were left over from their own hermit crabs that maybe outgrew them, that are now much larger and no longer need them. And so they pack them up and they send them our way.
Putting out 50 shells from Kat. Thank you, Kat, for your donation. It is currently 75 degrees with 68% humidity. We got a little burst of rain for the first time last night. Humidity is super low, and there definitely has been some activity back here in Transfer Station 1. So I'm going to throw these back here. On the camera, I saw a guy wearing spikes. I see him there. I paused before I came all the way out here because I didn't want to run him off yet. Oh yeah, look at them all. So there's the guy in the spiky shell. As you can see, the 20 shells I put out last night, those are pretty much gone.
The Florida Keys is a destination vacation. Tourists come down here, find a whelk, or a tulip shell especially, or an astrid. They'll pick it up, they'll stick it in their pocket, they'll take it home and put it on their shelf. Not thinking that there are native wild hermit crabs that will need these shells to move into. And thanks to each of you for all of your donations over the years to help provide homes for our wild hermit crabs. I hope you enjoyed our presentation today from Crustacean Plantation, up close and personal with Cenobita clypeatus, as we explore the shells native to the Florida Keys. We'll keep the fires burning down here, bringing awareness to the potential shortage for our wild native hermit crabs. I'd like to give a special thanks to Karen Kubecki, Art and Photo, for the use of her hermit crab map art that she designed specially for us. Also, Molasses Key Preserve, Monica and Frank Wool, BFF, Brittany and Katie O'Shea, who she'll probably kill me whenever she sees this video, George, Martha, and all the wild hermit crabs that we have here. All right, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We love interacting with our fellow Hermie fans. And that is the end of our presentation today. Have a great day, y'all.